Can male pattern baldness be reversed without the use of pharmaceuticals? This is a question many men are wondering, and for good reason. Why would you want to pay to take hormone altering pills for the rest of your life, which only treat a symptom instead of the underlying cause of your hair loss? Not to mention that these pills may contain questionable ingredients such as titanium dioxide, and especially when the underlying cause may be taking years off your life. We know that whether implemented maliciously or due to a lack of knowledge, treatments to conditions have them implemented which, although somewhat effective in the short term, do not treat the underlying cause and therefore are potentially harmful in the long term. Take, for instance, the administration of insulin for diabetics. As Jesse and Chospe states in the book Glucose Revolution, the common but misguided method of treating type 2 diabetes is to give the patient more insulin. This brings the glucose levels down temporarily by forcing the fat cells, that large storage container, to open and make them put on weight. A vicious cycle is created where higher and higher doses of insulin are administered, and the patient's weight goes up and up, but the root problem of high insulin levels isn't addressed. Adding extra insulin helps type 2 diabetics in the short term, bringing their levels down after eating, but in the long term, worsens the condition. It does appear that recent research is heading in the right direction in attempting to pinpoint contributors to a state of hair loss, and I'll be sharing two studies that do just this. The first one comes from China, and in considering that hair loss in men has been increasing, coupled with a decrease in the age of onset, and the consumption of sugar sweetened beverages between the years of 2003 and 2014 has increased by about tenfold amongst the Chinese population, the researchers decided to see if a connection exists. From their data on 1,028 male participants aged 18 to 45, 592 exhibiting hair loss and 436 without it, it would appear that diet likely played a significant role in the onset of this condition. What they found was that participants with hair loss ate less vegetables, but significantly more unhealthy foods, including sugar, honey, ice cream, sweets in general, and deep fried food, a major contributor to heart problems, which we will get into later. Participants who had lost their hair also drank significantly more sugar sweetened beverages than the other group, 4,293 milliliters versus 2,513 milliliters on average weekly. I found this study interesting and contacted one of the authors, thanking them for taking the time to look into the subject, and asked her if there had been any talk of testing to see if hair loss can be reversed via diet in the future. She responded with the following comment: "Thanks for your attention to our research. We are working on the diet therapy. It is highly possible." Well, it seems that China is heading in a positive direction, and maybe we'll see future articles by these researchers. Our next study, taking into consideration previous publications linking heart disease and hair loss, is titled The Relation of Androgenic Alopecia Severity with Epicardial Fat Thickness. As you can see in the graphic, the epicardium is the wall of the heart, so the researchers are testing to see if an association exists between male pattern hair loss and a fatty heart. The 126 participants were sorted in accordance with the severity of their hair loss, and as you can see in the chart, it does appear that we may have another winner with this study. Diet, as it plays a significant role in the onset of heart conditions, once again appears to be linked to the onset of hair loss in men. These results are what you would expect if an association existed. The fattier the heart, the more severe the hair loss. As pointed out in a previous video and further touched on in this one, sugar is going to play a significant role in metabolic conditions such as insulin resistance, and is therefore well worth keeping in mind. I'm in the middle of the book Glucose Revolution, and a great suggestion the author makes is eating a large salad prior to any carbohydrates, as its fiber coats the intestinal lining, thus significantly reducing insulin spikes after meals. Put practically, you're way less likely to experience fatigue after your meal, as the carbs can't quickly break down into sugar and directly enter your bloodstream without interference. That sugar and insulin likely play a significant role in the onset of male pattern baldness does not surprise me, as, even when women's insulin becomes dysregulated, they may face the onset of a condition called polycystic ovary syndrome, commonly referred to as PCOS for short, wherein they can experience the onset of symptoms such as increased testosterone, similar to men with heightened DHT, body hair growth, infertility, and male pattern baldness. In considering that a fatty heart coupled with insulin resistance are likely to exist in diabetics, I'm starting to think of hair loss in men as head diabetes.